What's going on, guys? It's Madman Plant. We are back in the office for another podcast. Today, I got an exciting lineup. Before I get into the podcast, I want to talk about a couple of things that are happening, and I also want to refer to the website. So let me take you over real quick here. Bam! All right, so many of you guys have been to madmanplant.com. What I quickly want to show you real quick is the fact that now all of our episodes are on the website from the live shows and from the Grow series. They're automatically updated so you can see us in person, and then you'll be able to see our our live versions like this. We are in right now about in May 31st to June 1st. We are in Chicago. So if you are at NECAN and you're going to attend the Illinois event, please come and see us. Sit down at our booth. We are handing out seed packs from GI Genetics and Dead by Dawn. We have swag from Hygrozyme, swag from AC Infinity. We got a lot of great sponsors that are working with us, and it's going to be really cool because we got our swag bags and much, much more. Also, what I want to show you too is if you want to be a guest on the show, we now have a live calendar that rolls for 60 days at a time, and you can come sign up. So what you do is you come over here, and then these are our in-person. These are everything that you're watching currently. And then right here, you're going to fill this out, and you can choose your date, which works for you. And we do Wednesdays at 8 o'clock. So it's functional, and you can choose your time. You'll come click the guest interview form. You'll fill that out and submit that all together, and you are now scheduled to be on our podcast. Look, there's Grownomics, our mod. So with that being said, I also want to talk quickly about the giveaways. Tonight we're doing some giveaways. We're doing another mini fogger by Petra Tools. But if you go over here to the website, we currently have a Hygrozyme shirt, bottle, hat, and permanent profile, and the Jackal seeds by Dead by Dawn and GI Genetics. We have a Mini Fogger Pro. We have a Stosh Logic Silverton case giveaway, which is what I'm currently rocking, and I really love this thing. I've tried a lot of these cases. A lot of people have sent me these, and so far, I just love this because it's rigid. When you close it, it doesn't collapse on itself, and it's really, really nice. And I'll quickly go through what I carry in here. So I usually have my bowl, and then check this out. I can fit, bam. So when I open it up, look at this, mouthpiece, stash grinder, which I really love, the toothless option. Right here, I got my roller, my raw, which are the only papers I use. We got our filter tips for the mouthpiece. You got a stash jar in here. I got a smaller mouthpiece filter kit for my tips. In here, I have a full rolled tray, so tips, cone rollers. This right here is an ashtray, and it all fits in here. And then at the very bottom, I got my vape, my dry herb, and then I also got my little ashtray. And check this out. This right here is an ashtray. Boom. And then when you're done, comes right out. It's all magnetic. Goes right in there. Poker. Right. And it's perfect to go. And then up here, I got the tips. I got a Fernway ceramic tip cone ready to go. And yeah, so this is what I use, and I love it. So you guys can win one of those on the website. Also on the website, we have the Sweet Seeds t-shirt giveaway and the Gold Leaf planner, which is just a couple of days left on it, and it's a really cool planner. I'm going to be doing another giveaway, but they're really awesome. And if you're a person that loves to put a pen to paper, this item is going to definitely be for you. And you can also see all the past giveaways. We have another Aero mixer coming up, and a lot more things. So definitely a lot of great things. And then also here, you can follow up on where we're going to be. So right now, we're going to be May 31st to June 1st. We're going to be in Illinois. We have NECAN, Vermont. We have NECAN, New Jersey, Michigan, Connecticut, New York. And then we have more calendar dates, which are going to be for the Cowboy Cup, MJ BizCon. We're going to California, to Santa Rosa, to the Flower X. I think it's a flower. Hold on, let me see here. It is Hall of Flowers, Santa Rosa, California. We'll be at the Florida Cannabis Festival in Mount Dora. So as you can see right here, a lot of dates coming up. But let's go ahead and get into our guests. So tonight at exactly 9 o'clock, when we hit an hour, I'm going to do our first giveaway. We do have some seeds by Dead by Dawn and some GI Genetics. I have what we call it, the fogger and a couple other little items. So we'll do 3 main giveaways tonight. So it's going to be awesome. So let's welcome my first guest tonight. And his name is Brandon, also known as Mythic Woodworks, joining us. His journey is nothing short of extraordinary. A military veteran who served in the United States Navy, Brandon's life has been a series of challenges and triumphs, from a turbulent childhood in the foster care to overcoming personal demons and finding purpose through his craft. So, welcome to the stage, my dude.
Hey, man, thanks for having me.
Oh, dude, thank you for being here. You know, we spent some time together in Baltimore at my booth. And I have you know what? It's so rude of me. I need to go upstairs real quick and grab your rolling tray, because my other grinder is sitting right on it. And we got to handle some of your products, and I actually got a rolling tray from you, and it really is great. And I really love the rolling tray. So how have you been?
Oh, doing what I can with what I got, man. Spent a lot of time with my family recently, so I haven't been able to get into my craft much, but honestly, man, every moment, it's just cherishing it for what it is.
And I think that's the biggest thing, is gratitude and trying to think of the little things. Me too. I've kind of been off the hinges a little lately because there's so much going on, and you got to step back and just try to appreciate little things. So that's good. It's hard to do sometimes, especially when you're in it.
Exactly. But it's that little step back you take, and you can look at it and be like, this is mine. This is my family. And cherish those moments, because, nothing lasts forever, man.
Well, yeah, and I agree. And as I go get your rolling tray real quick, I'm going to give you the spotlight. Before we dive into your story and all my questions that I have for you, I'd really love to give people a great visual of Mythic Woodworks. So take about 2 minutes real quick and inform everybody on who you are and what you're doing in the cannabis space as far as your woodworking.
All right, man, I could do that. Thank you. Hey, y'all, I'm Brandon with Mythic Woodworks. As far as what I'm doing in the community at this point in time, I started making custom rolling trays on a whim, and turned out some beautiful pieces, actually. And I wanted to make items for people that are personalized for them. So being able to do what I do currently, I'm able to do that. I'm able to take one of my blanks that I have made, and I can actually laser customizations into these pieces for you. Whether it be small portraits, logos, brands, whatever you see fit, I can actually throw them on this with a laser I have, and make it personalized to you, and that's kind of where my business is evolved into, is being able to give people customizations on something that a lot of us smokers use almost every single day, but now through me, I'm actually able to, I could actually get you something that would be personalized to you. I have a Facebook and an Instagram. Best ways to get a hold of me if you want to place an order. I've been able to make stuff off of napkin doodles. Hey, you're back.
Bam! Yeah, I actually really love this thing. The only thing I wish, and this is something that we need to work on, is creating one that would fit inside of this. Something that would work, because this is perfect, and I love this thing. One of the things I do love about the product is, one, it's all made from a single piece of wood, so it comes in as a block, and then is treated, shaved down, routed, finished, and everything. Also, you got the great engraving in the back. But two is, like, with this, you have multiple sizes, like your small, medium, and large. But for like your average user who would be on the go, I love this size the most because it just fits in so many like backpacks or like, a little bit bigger cases. And it doesn't take up a lot of room, but check this out. Look, watch. We got two different grinders, and even if I turn it over, this fits in there. And if I take the Stash Logic grinder and I put it, it's very universal. It's actually funny that when I first got it, I took all the grinders that I had, and I was actually like seeing, I was like, one of them isn't gonna fit, but they all fit. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna be using this tonight. I'm actually smoking on some of the Hidden Valley from Boston. That's amazing, and I really love it. What about you? What are you smoking on tonight?
I grew some Shogun from Royal Queen seeds, and I've been just doing a little one hitter tonight. I don't want to get to the point where I can't answer questions properly without trailing off for about 45 minutes.
Right? Look at this shit. This actually comes in the Stash Logic case. You get the ashtray. So, man, I am all set. So, are you ready to dive into this?
Yeah, let's get into the thick of it, man.
Okay. So, as I do with all my guests, we always start from the beginning, early childhood, because a lot of times in those childhood is where we're made, where we find our passion, our loves. For you, obviously, you had a little bit more of a turbulent childhood, dealing with the foster care and kind of finding your purpose in life in an early age. How do those experiences, looking back, how do you think that they have shaped you?
It's made me more empathetic, honestly. I'm able to have a little more empathy for people, but it's also made me extremely aware, not just in my surroundings, but it's also with the people I deal with on a day-to-day basis. It's given me the opportunity to notice certain things with people, whether it's a normal reaction or potential trauma response reaction, because I've had them. I've had terrible trauma response reactions, and you know what it's like when you see it. So
yeah. So with that being said, let's take everybody back. So when we talk about turbulent childhoods, where did it all start to go chaotic?
Well, I would have to say, so I'm from a really, really small town. Like, biggest graduating class I've ever seen from it was 12. 12 people. That was it. The biggest graduating class was 12 in that small town. But I have to say, in that small town, it would have to be when our grandfather died. So my mom, my birth mother, was a single mom with 3 kids, and she lived with my grandfather. We knew him as Papa. When he passed away, he died of a heart attack. But before he died, we had a situation where he forgot he had his oxygen thing on his nose, and he lit a cigarette. Flamethrower to the face, and that was probably the first traumatic thing I had actually ever witnessed, was somebody burning alive. And he passed in the hospital from a heart attack, and he was the rock in our family, and when he passed, it just destroyed my mother, absolutely destroyed it, because he was the one that kept her in track and in line with herself and her own emotions, and just being that strong positive influence that the whole family needed. Unfortunately, from there, it kind of just proceeded to decline at a very slow rate. And but then once we hit that edge and dropped, it went straight down to heck, man. But I would have to say, once that happened, it was like maybe a year or two. And next thing you know, we got the cops showing up at our house, pulling these kids away, not knowing what's going on, getting taken into, like, no explanation. I had a cop throw us and me and my siblings into back of cop cars. And my first response to my siblings was it was all my fault because I didn't know how to behave. And I took that whole blame on myself for years as a child. But over the next several years in several foster homes, I mean, there was always that hope in the back of my mind, like, maybe we'll go back and we'll be back to normal. Everything will be fine. You know what I mean? Because that's all you know. I mean, I'm not going to say it was Stockholm syndrome, but when you're surrounded by chaos all the time, you know what I mean? You get used to it. But we had gone into the foster care system, and they treat these kids like they're numbers, man. Just bodies, numbers, and paychecks. And when you're that young, from like at the age of 10, moving on to about 15, nothing more than a kid wants is to be loved at any age, you know what I mean? And to feel like there wouldn't be anybody there to actually love you, you kind of just became self-reliant, or you became reliant on your siblings at the same time. Like my brother and I, we were the dynamic duo. You know what I mean? There was nothing separating us. And shortly before my mother's rights were completely terminated, she made me promise that I would always watch out for my siblings. And that's kind of where I think that's where my protective nature really stemmed from, because it was my responsibility to keep my brothers and sisters safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when we talked to Greenier like last week, he was from the system. They found drugs in the car and just kind of ripped them out. It's funny. Well, it's not funny, obviously, but it's interesting how in your mind, as a child, you're not realizing that it really isn't your fault. These are things you can't control, but you internalize them as, oh, it must have been bad behavior. And it makes me actually think a lot about Logan. I'm not the perfect parent. I do 10 times yell at Logan. I've never beat my child, but I have gone a little bit loud, and it kind of makes me think about everything, and just like how he thinks. So with that being said, how do you deal with this? Like what like walk through the next couple of days. Like you go in the cop car, where do they take you? What are you doing in the back of the cop car? Are they nice to you? Or
see, when they put all of us in the cop car, it was the sheriff, the town sheriff, who picked us up. Didn't say a word the whole time. Shook his head, silent. We would ask him questions, and I think it broke his heart, because it was probably the thing he hated the most about his job was having to do what he did. But there were people in town who just reported my mother for neglect. She wasn't taking care of us. She was abusing pills, working all night, sleeping all day, and to be fair, man, we were running wild. I mean, I remember walking through town in nothing but my underwear, and no one said anything to me. I was like 9 years old. But
that wouldn't last nowadays. Somebody would
no
Facebook or something. But that's just so interesting that like no care in the world. I mean, how many kids go missing? They just go out to play. They go out to ride their bike in their front driveway, and here you are just butt-ass naked walking through town. Anybody could have grabbed you or done anything to you. I mean, you're already in a vulnerable position. You're already naked. You know what I mean? Like that's just crazy. So is this all? Are you just registering this as normal as a child, or do you start to look at other people and say, I guess this is a little bit different than Johnny's life?
No, it didn't register me at all. I just thought this was life. I wanted to go have fun. Mind you, this is a small country town, man. Like, not a lot of people could afford TV. Not a lot of people could afford anything, and the community pretty much relied on itself. We'd go fishing in the creek. We'd go swimming in the river. We'd do whatever we wanted. You know what I mean? We were kids. And so occasionally you see some kids do something dumb. It's just like, unless they're hurting something or being belligerently disrespectful, you know what I mean? Most people just kept an eye on everyone. That's just how we did things. Like, it was the kind of town that if you messed up in front of the wrong person, that person had full right to beat your ass. No questions asked. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
we need that a little bit more these days. People
yeah,
get
no, but it is just what it is, man. I mean, that was the societal changes now. You know, it's just, everything's different. You know, some people took it too far with the beatings, and I'll be honest, I was a victim of that. Those kind of people.
like so when you say you're a victim of those kind of people, like to the point where it's no longer a punishment, like this is like almost like torture, like they're
Yeah,
literally beating your ass.
yeah, to the point of me blacking out. I never got hospitalized for it, but it was enough to get knocked out. You know, no major broken bones or anything. It's just I just got beat the fuck up.
Now these are by people taking care of you, or these are by like just random people in the streets,
These were people who were taking care of me.
like prominent like parental like figures, or
Parental figure or people who were entrusted with the custody of the children at the time. You know, or like, you know, and I don't name drop. I mean, these people know what they did. You know, it's they see me now, they get a little uneasy. You know what I mean? Because they know, or they've blocked it out completely. I mean, mind you, I'm not a small dude, and I'm not a big dude either. Scrappy at best, but it's one of those things where these people knew what they did. I mean, I can hold that hatred in my heart for them. You know what I mean? But it's what it all does is it's like drinking poison and expecting somebody else to get sick. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to let it go, process it, embrace it for what it is. I mean, obviously, blatantly, for if these people were deserving of a higher level of justice, obviously that needs to be sought out. But it's just some people just didn't know any better. That was early 2000s, late 90s, man. People were still.
I don't know the whole they didn't know any better. It's like okay, for instance, like bringing Logan up again. I get loud with Logan, and I remind him who his dad is. Sometimes, you know, children just need that reminding, you know. But I've never made my child black out from beating him. I've never even left a bruise on him, let alone like, you know, like anything like that. To me, it's just like, regardless of where you come from, I just like, especially with children, you know, as a parent, you gotta have some type of like mercy. You know, they don't know any better, and the fact that you're gonna sit there and beat a child and expect them to learn a lesson through pain. I expect Logan to learn through me yelling at him. He doesn't learn from me yelling at him. I just wind up yelling at him. You know what I mean? Does it make it right? Maybe not, but you know what I mean. It's like, I just don't get the point where I've never been like, you know what, to make him learn his lesson, I'm gonna make him black out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's the Chris Rock joke about how his mom knocked him out, you know, for cussing, and that's why he cuss in front of his mom. But you know, in a reality sense, you know, it's just that's why I don't like CPS and stuff. They're like, oh, we want to protect your child. We're gonna put them with an abuser.
Sometimes these people just slide through the cracks, though, man. They don't do in-depth enough background checks on these people.
It's just amazing. So to continue on, like, what do you do about this? How as a child do you defend yourself, or how does it stop? Like, when does somebody think that it's enough? Like, when you just like are unconscious and they think that they almost killed you, or
no, it's honestly how I've dealt with it. How I dealt with it at the time was embraced it for what it was. I mean, to be fair, like when I say they didn't know any better, it was the common norm. Like if your child acted up in a way that was horrendous. Like I had a lot of behavioral issues because I had no structure. But if your child's acting up, you beat that kid's ass until they learn. It like the one SWAT thing wouldn't have passed. You kept beating. There were some people who just had tempers. You know what I mean? But it was perfectly normal back in the day for you mess up, go pick a switch. Go get me my spoon. A bag of nickels. Not really a bag of nickels, but still.
All right. So as we move on, how do you get out of the foster care system?
Through a loving family, actually, who saw us and actually wanted us. So I bounced around the system for about 5 years. One shithole to the next. You know, me and my brother stayed together the whole time until the very end when we finally were able to be reunited with our sisters. See, they separated us the moment we went. The boys went with the boys, the girls went with the girls. Because that's just how it was structured. Because not a lot of people could afford to take on 4 kids at once, let alone have the ability to. And one day, I'm with my brother and my family. I'm at school, and we get called away by our caseworker. I believe her name was Tammy. She came over and presented these case files for these families. And it was like, listen, you guys are up for adoption. You have an opportunity to be part of a family. And she gave me like a list of like 6. Several of them turned their noses up at us because they saw a child with anger issues, which who wouldn't be angry with the crap you go through in the system? You know what I mean? But there was one family that had come back about 2 times, and it was a family with already having 8 children in it. Not even kidding. 8 children already in it. They had adopted 2 previously and had 6 of their own at the time. And they really wanted to adopt us.
That's awesome.
And you know, it's funny. I remember my mom telling me this story because she was just like, when you denied us the first time, like when we got denied the first time, she was really heartbroken about it, and she ended up at a seminar with our caseworker at one point, and she's like, "You're Carrie. You're interested in some of my kids, aren't you?" And she's like, "Yeah, no, but yeah, we were told that they didn't want to go with us, or they were already been adopted." And she's like, "No, let's see what we can do." And it was meant to be, man. Mind you, when they adopted us, they knew that there was going to be some challenges. As with most kids coming out of the system, I mean, you have such strong irregularities in your schedule, your concept of what safety is, or even with feeling alone. These kids don't know how to regulate. They don't know how to. Some don't know how to regulate, and they act out because they just have this engraved thought that these people are just going to abandon me like my parents did. So they're going to test those limits. I was no exception to that rule. Matter of fact, I gave my family absolute hell for years. And there were points where I was just seeing whether or not they were going to kick me back into the system, but they never stopped loving me.
Funny.
They never, ever gave up on me. I still call my mom just about every single day.
So,
go ahead.
Okay, so with this being said, do you still talk to your birth mom?
Well, in spirit. She lost her battle with addiction a few years back. It was about 7. No, oh crap! It's already been 8 years. Longer than that. Oh crap! I'm getting old. It was about 10 years ago, man. It was 10 years ago. She lost her battle with addiction. She OD'd on the couch in a crack house, essentially. They found her, and that was it. She lost her balance lost her war with addiction, and it all stemmed from, I think, actually, the distraught and pain that she felt from finally seeing us again after about 8 years.
Okay, so to bring everything back, your grandfather passed away at a time your mom was pretty stable. When he died, she became very unstable. Was she already using at that time or no?
As far as we knew, yeah. She at that point in time, she had started abusing the moment her father died. they'd be passing pills back with strange prescriptions on them, and we thought that was normal, because that's what we saw.
Yep.
The only one who knew better was our older brother, but he just never said anything.
So, with that being said, did you ever like make your peace with her? Or did she, like in the movie Forrest Gump, where Forrest said, "I think he made his peace with God," and then it's swimming in the water.
Yeah.
In a Dan's character.
Yeah.
Did you or her or both of you ever have that moment where, for one period of time in that later part of your life, you had that moment of like peace?
Yeah, no, I found that peace when I stopped carrying it on my shoulder, that it was my fault that she wasn't with us anymore. I was in a foreign country at the time, active duty, and I saw a Reiki specialist, believe it or not.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I experimented with various different spiritualities at one point in my life, and somebody asked me if I'd try Reiki. And I remember after the session just crying my eyes out and remembering myself telling myself it was never your fault. And it wasn't instant, you know what I mean? It took a while for that to set in, but when you feel something so strong, like right here, that feels like it's erupting away from you, it was a weirdly magical experience, is the only way I can explain it. But I felt the biggest weight of my life come off my shoulders after that. A little backstory to why I blamed myself. I had a feeling, an urge that I needed to go see her shortly before she died, and I never did it. And then when she was finally dead, I blamed myself for about 6 years, roughly.
It's a long time to blame yourself. And my grandfather's like 100. He'll be 103 this year, and I should go see him more, but I don't. And I feel like, at the same time, it's like you want to do these things, but life's life, and that's kind of like the cool thing is you always think you have time, and that not maybe always the case. And it's unfortunate in situations, but I think having that moment, that's why I asked you about like the moment of like pure peace, because my grandmother, who I was very close to, before she died, I had to talk with her about her death and have like how she felt and everything. And then because of that, I was actually one of the only people at the funeral not crying, because there was no need to cry, because I knew exactly what she thought and how she felt, and it wasn't that. So, I'm kind of in those things where now in life, and I think you are too, I think you get that from like, people get that in general from like trauma and gratitude, is leaving that no stone unturned. Maybe it wasn't perfect, but you found your peace in it. And because of that, you're able to move on. And, maybe it wasn't the right, or it wasn't the best, but it was what it was. And
exactly.
Sometimes that has to be good enough, and it's unfortunate too, because I've never met my birth parents. You and I are adopted. This is, we're going to do an adoption podcast. So Green Year, all the people that we know that are also adopted, and I have them all come on and do like a whole thing. But this all transitions to our next part of your life, which is your military life. So after all of this, you're joining the military at this time, early in life. And talk a little bit about that. Was that something that you decide? Oh, yeah, Crimson definitely adopted. Yep. And talk about, did you go in the military expecting something to change, or were you forced into it, or were you trying to escape and see the world? Like, how did you wind up in the military? Because that's also another thing too, is like you're going from this life of abuse, and now you're going to this life of you're being abused again, as they're rebuilding you into a soldier, and you live under these restrictions and these tough, people yelling in your face. You've been yelled at your whole life. It's very interesting how you would go right to that.
So the one thing the military gave me was a sense of structure. And when you know nothing but chaos and internal battles and having no emotional or mental structure with yourself, I mean, it's not uncommon for people subconsciously to seek that out and join the military. That's kind of what happened with me. I struggled with a lot of internal stuff in my early 20s, trying to figure out what I'm doing with my life, trying to figure out who I am with my life. From after all these years of dealing with the stuff that I've dealt with, it was kind of hard to figure out what was a good normal for me. So I walked into a recruiter's office one day after having a little bit of a breakdown after some stuff was going on, and I said, I need to go. I need to get out of here. I just gave myself a no options. This is you either stay here and potentially die here, or you go out and do something. Do something that not only you can be proud of, but the people you've let down over the years do something they can be proud of too. You know what I mean? And that was one thing I struggled with in my early 20s, because I felt like I wasn't anything that my family could be proud of. And I signed up. I got shipped out within a month. I was just like, no questions asked, just get me out there. I don't care what the job is, just get me out. Let me do something. And I went to boot camp October of 2013, and I didn't know what to expect, man. I knew kind of, because they gave you the rundown and maps and stuff like that, but you hear about it from the people, but until you officially experience it, I mean, there's no comparison. You know what I mean? It was the best, worst decision I personally have ever made for myself, I would think. And I say that because it made me be able to be the person I am today. The military did a great deal of good for me. Not always the best, you know what I mean? There are some things where I wish I could change it, but I mean, once again, it is what it is. My boot camp was a little rough. We were a double push division, which means that basically versus the normal time, they're pushing you 2 weeks faster, because a push division's like a week earlier. Double push is like 2 weeks. So we had to cram. We had to push through as much stuff as we could, as fast as we could. But some people have hard times adjusting to that. I was no exception. I remember, we call it getting beat in the military, but no one actually puts hands on you. Well, not in my boot camp anyway. But I was forced to do a lot of push-ups, a lot of setups, a lot of arm circles, a lot of physical labor. You know what I mean? Anytime I messed up. Oh, yeah, no. The gas chamber definitely cleared out my sinuses, I'll tell you that much. But it was a whole entire experience that completely shaped not just my mind, but my body, And it wasn't until I got out into the fleet that I really saw what the military actually, it is what it actually was. Because boot camp's just a conditioning. It's a breakdown and a rebuild. Some boot camps, or some branches of the military, it's the same thing from the moment you sign up to the moment you retire. You know what I mean? But in the Navy, it's a little different. We know it sucks. We know everything about the job sucks, and we embrace the suck. That's what we do. I was signed to be a logistics specialist, which basically means supply. You needed it. It was my job to get it. And in the community, in that level of the community in the military, I mean, I was the plug, man. I was whatever you needed. I was the guy to talk to. It came with some perks, but it also came with a lot of people who didn't have anything else better to do but make you miserable. When I first actually got shipped out, I got shipped overseas to southern Italy. I figured I had made it in spades. I'm going to a tropical island. I'm going to go embrace a whole new culture and everything. But we were a hub, man. It was a hub for moving everything from one point to out to the fight. Whether it be personnel, people, you name it. You know what I mean? That's why they call it the hub of the Mediterranean. I don't remember a whole lot from that time frame, but that's because I embrace the culture really well. Alcohol is not a question of if, it's when. Um,
Yeah, and let's talk about that real quick. So, your alcoholism came right around you becoming a high school dropout, right? And this is after your mom died, so you're now dealing with this as well. And then
mhm.
you're trying to kind of struggle in life. Um, how do you balance the demands of the military career with alcoholism, especially when there's so much physical labor? There's just everything's on time, and it seems like alcohol would make you very sloppy. How do you battle that?
Just don't drink on the clock. That was kind of our rule, because that was the only way you could, in the dysregulation that you find in the military, all the from the top to the bottom, there's dysregulation in some way, shape, or form, either miscommunication, aggression, or just people wanting to be dicks. It happens, and that's that part of the whole. We embrace the suck. You know what I mean? Once the clock's off, once we're able to go home to our barracks rooms and stuff like that, we were partying. We were drinking until 6 and 7 in the morning, and I used alcohol to cope with a lot of stuff. I made a lot of friends out there who'd be getting deployed out, and they wouldn't come back, man. Um,
So how does that work as far as like your mental health and trying to become a better person if you're with people who are essentially broken as well, all trying to forget their problems?
honestly, it didn't happen at first. I kept going until I got in trouble. I had 2 alcohol related incidents under my belt, and I thought it was just me having a fun time. I never saw mass form. I got lucky. I did get a lot of extra military instruction, which is a form of punishment. You basically have to do more work on top of the work you already got to do. Which is it's like the slap on the wrist. It's just like, don't do it again, but you still got to do this crap. You know what I mean? Learn from your lesson. I mean, I did some pretty dumb stuff out there, and the fact that I still had my job after I transferred was a miracle. I didn't finally get myself right with alcohol, even though I had to get. They sent me to AA meetings and stuff like that to clear it up. I didn't get right with alcohol and get myself right until I met my wife. And it took, for a person like me, it took somebody that I wanted to be better for me to finally, because I didn't care about myself. I knew that if I died, I died. At least I died in honor. I died fighting for my country. But I met somebody who gave me purpose, and that purpose made me want to be better and do better. And it's been a slow climb, you know what I mean? And I'm trying every day to be better and be the best person I can be, whether it be processing my own trauma or just being a father and a husband, you know what I mean? Just trying to do better than I did the day before. But if it wasn't for her, I guarantee you alcohol would have taken me years ago.
I have a good friend who's also a military veteran, and he may not be in the chat right now, but he had a bad battle with alcohol, and he was an extreme alcoholic. And it was his wife, I believe, who was the same situation. It was either her or the alcohol, and he quit. And same thing. I think too, with all that demand, I feel like as I haven't been in the military. Now I wasn't in the service, but I was in pest control. Get it? Um, I used to work for a pest control company, so that's why I always say I was in some type of service. But maybe a joke. But I always feel like with something like that, with such a high demand type job, I feel like people need a relief, need to kind of escape. I mean, it's probably really hard, to have that much on your shoulder. And then if you fuck up, they got tons of things for you to do, like to waste your time or take you away from your freedom or what you want to do. My dad graduated from Kings Point, and he got a couple weekends in due to that. But hey, he got a free college education, so. But going through, looking back, how do you view yourself now, and like how do you justify everything from this point going backwards?
Well, I view myself as a work in progress. I will always be a work in progress because I can always improve.
Yep.
My trauma in my childhood doesn't define me. It helps me be a better person. It helps me understand. Yeah, it sucks that it happened. You know what I mean? I wouldn't wish some of the stuff that happened to me to happen to anybody. But it made me more aware and empathetic, man. It made me be able to acknowledge triggers for people, to acknowledge trauma in my fellow man and woman, you know what I mean? Or person. It's the empathy, I think, that's really become the thing that I cherish the most out of it. I mean, I don't get me wrong. If I could change it all, you know what I mean, I would be in a house in Beverly Hills with a family that loved me. You know what I mean? If I could change it all, you know what I mean? But that's not what the cards I got dealt are. You know what I mean? The cards that I got dealt, yeah, they were shitty. I didn't win a single hand, but it made me learn. It made me understand not just me, but others. Help people think, how people think, how people handle things, you know what I mean? Because I'll notice somebody being triggered by something now. I'm like, oh, this dude's triggered. I can already see it. But it's not the avoidance. It's my question is why? What happened to them? You know what I mean? How can I help them feel better about the situation? How can I help them in some way, shape, or form? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a super religious man, but I do believe in God, you know what I mean? And I don't believe that we're supposed to spend our whole entire lives just caring for ourselves. We got to care for each other because at the end of the day, we ain't got nobody else.
Well, that and two, the reason why our society and evolution has moved at such the speed that it has is because of civilization and working together and community. It's so yeah, that it's a huge portion of our survival is to be communicative and work together. I mean, we're really all in this together. And two, also, kind of what you're saying is, I think when you see yourself at your worst, you can start to see yourself at your best. And especially for me in my own situation, not in the military, but in business and in life, almost since 2013 to now, I've everything I make is through constant hustling. So I don't sell any weed. I own multiple different companies, so I'm always selling myself and my services. But when you're out on the front like that, even in business, just like with trauma, you can develop a lot of trauma based on like rejection or things not going your way or constant roadblocks or things that you're trying to move forward. And now as a business owner, you're going to start to experience a lot of this stuff too, and it takes a strong person. So I do believe that even though we struggle with trauma in the beginning, if we can learn to be uncomfortable and like you said, take everything as a learning lesson. I learned from this. It wasn't fun, but I learned something, and now I can use that to be better. I myself have this picture 10 years from now at 45 years old of the exact person I want to be, what kind of car this person drives, the house he lives in, the relationships, the network, the people around me, the people that believe in me. and we need to like visualize this avatar of this person. And when you have something that you're looking at and saying, that's what I want to be like, and these are the attributes and these are the morals, and I'm a big believer in God too, and when you allow yourself positivity, I believe that's when things change. The problem is, in very negative, dense situations, it's impossible. It's like life is like this, and it's like, oh, just see the glass half full, and it's like, but it's not, and it's like, oh, but just see it as, but it's not. You know what I mean? But just see it as, it's not. But you have to see it is, and then one day, it will be. One of the greatest things. I love this thing. When Walt Disney created Disney World, he died 8 years before Disney World actually opened. And one of the higher ups on the opening day said, "Wouldn't it have been great if Walt got to see Disney World?" And one of the other higher ups said, "Don't you get it? He did see it. That's why it's here." And just like your character that you're building, you know what I mean? It's all part of that. You're starting to see it, and that's, transitioning to the buildings of success, and especially in the military, those are some big shoes to fill, especially with responsibility and what you do for your job. So let's move on in this conversation because we're getting close for our first giveaway of the night, which is, let's talk about uh, transitioning from confronting your own mental health issues to building a successful career. Now, did you retire, or did you just get out after 4 years? How did your service go?
So I was medically retired from the military. I had received some injuries while I was in, not just physically but mentally. I have a bad knee now, bad shoulders, based on things that had happened while I was in. But towards the end, it was something finally broke me. I just seeing all the stuff that I had seen, it was just, that sucks, move on at the time, but we lost a good friend of ours. We lost a shipmate to suicide. And it broke me. It absolutely broke me. She was a good friend and had such a beautiful character, you know what I mean? And in my head, it's just, when you lose someone, it can eat away at you. And it just felt like, and I've lost quite a few people over the years, it's part of life, but this one just ate me to my core. And it was like, I'm not okay. I know I'm not okay. And it reflected in my work. And I got referred to a psychologist. And unfortunately, I revealed a little too much of what was going on upstairs to this person. And yeah. I got the fancy socks. I got the fancy socks and the gown for about a week. And the military said, I'm basically said, listen, you're done. You're done. We then they ended up taking about a year to. It took about a year to get me out because the paperwork takes forever. Plus, you have to go through boards, and they have to review your file. They have to can we really keep this guy in? Do we have to worry about making sure there's a padded room near him at all time, or is he a risk to himself or others on the job? Not saying that's my case, but these boards have to take all these things into consideration, and all of them saw my file. They saw what I had been through and stuff like that. And they said, yeah, no, you're done. And 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, they gave me my DD-214, signed me up with the VA and said, you're retired. You're done. Thank you for your service. Enjoy your life. And to be honest, that first 6 months after you get out, the beautiful thing about my transition was I went from busy on the job to busy in the house, because my wife, shortly after I got out, gave birth to our firstborn, a beautiful baby girl. Love her to death. She's my little bug, my little ladybug.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she always holds this sand too. So, and that was kind of my cue. Like, hey, like my wife, I was getting better, doing better for my mental health once I started the process of getting out finally, because I wasn't neglecting myself. I was channeling these things that would wake me up at night. The things that would, I had really bad night terrors towards the end of my career. Really bad ones. And my wife was seeing it, and she was seeing how everything was, and it was kind of just it sucked. You know, she was watching the man that she loved fall apart at the seams. But she was there for me the whole time. You know what I mean? And we were preparing for the baby and everything, and it was a lot, you know, just going on all at once. And if I didn't have her as my support, I don't really think that, I don't know if I'd be here, you know, because once you get out, you lose a giant chunk of who you are. When the military is all you know at that point in time, because you were conditioned in such a way. That's one thing I hate about the military, is they just give you your paperwork and say, have fun. They don't do aftermath counseling or anything like that. They expect you to just be able to readjust the moment you get into society. And I'm going to be honest, I did not adjust well. I didn't leave my house. Mind you, I was taking care of a newborn, you know what I mean, and stuff like that, but I didn't really leave. When I finally left the house for the first time, it was me taking my daughter to an outlet mall. And we walked around. I had her in my little carrier. She had little sunglasses on. It was something out of The Hangover, man. I had my beard growing. I was a little chubby. I was looking like a little mock-up. But I got out, and I just finally saw, it's like, I need to do more for myself. I need to be better. Because if it's not for myself, but for my daughter, and that's really what wound up to me hardcore hitting the mental health battle, man. I went sober for a good year, and I just worked on myself. Tried keeping getting better. Many talks with my wife. I got a good therapist also, and I just started rebuilding. Just rebuilt myself in the image of the man I knew I needed to be. As I said, I'm still a work in progress, man, but that first 6 months, I don't care who you are, it sucks. Everyone goes through it in some way, shape, or form, because it's a complete paradigm shift that there is no training for that whatsoever.
No, I definitely agree. And we're gonna pause right now. I do have some comments going back, but I do want to stay on time for everything that I have it all calculated out. So we're going to do the first giveaway of the night, and exactly here at 9:00, and you get to pick the hashtag of what we're going to be doing. So pick a hashtag that you would like to do.
Let's do hashtag Forever Mythic.
Ooh, there we go. Hold on.
Little story behind that. Once we get off the giveaway break, I can explain it a little better.
All right. And while people are doing that, I'm going to go get what I'm giving away. And GI and Crimson, if you guys are going to be giving in the first giveaway of the night, let me know in the chat what you guys are going to be adding, and I will go get the item real quick.
Oh, well, so fun fact before we get into the giveaway. If you use the hashtag Forever Mythic with Wise Bond Epoxy on their website, you can actually get a discount using that as a discount code. So if you're into the epoxy work, Go use it. Get your discount. Sorry, shamelessly plugging one of my discount codes for the business.
Do it. It's your time. So we've got ourselves another mystery box.
You need me to come over there and van a white for you?
That's right. Pick some numbers for me. I'm also going to get some LED signage for the back. Make it light up a little bit more. No, I don't want to open it, then I have to retape it. Silly. There's 23 people and there's 12 that entered. This is a good one.
I think your audio went out.
Me?
Yeah, I think you cut out for a second.
Yes, this is a 10x10 AC Infinity all-in-one grow kit. So in this box, you're going to get the light, the fans, an intake. They have pots in here. The charcoal filter kit's also in here. It's really awesome. And it's so compact, you just add water and it'll... Or maybe you just pull this tab right here, and it just pops open and ready to go.
So I was believing you for a second.
That's because I'm a good salesperson.
Now, if you said 20x20, I'd raise an eyebrow a little bit.
That's because I spent so much time selling, or not. Well, I don't sell their products, but so much time at my booth talking to people about AC Infinity. I pretty much stayed in my sleep. I actually did with Hygrozyme. I had to do a 3-hour session with them to learn all about their products. So I have full approval to talk about their products wherever I am. So I'm like kind of like a rep, but not really. All right, so here we go. 18 people. All right, 24. Nice. All right. So let's go ahead and pick. Wait, hold on. Damn it. Agronomics. Fix me up here. I messed up. While we get the main screen. There we go. All right, here we go. Now, remember, if you win, you will go to madmanplant.com to the giveaway section and you will fill that out. Oh, wait, if you don't like the video, your entry won't go through. Yep, if you don't like my and subscribe, you ain't going to get anything. All right, here we go. If Quarterman Jack wins again, I'm going to be like, I don't know how he's doing it, but he's bringing the system. What's going up, Anthony? That's what's up, dude. Well, you got the mystery box and Crimson. What seed packs does he win? I believe GI's in here too. So, congratulations. You will go to madmanplant.com, click the giveaway tab. You will fill out that information, and I will put a label on that box for you and send it out. So now, as we get back to our storytelling, biggest thing I wanted to bring up in your last conversation was the fact that suicide and Mission 22, and the fact that a lot of veterans themselves severely go through mental health. Now, the suicide, was this related to like the military directly, or did she have like other demons, if you will?
Not to spill her information too much, she had some of her own battles, but the job just eats you alive too, man. So it was, I believe it was not just environmental but mental as well. It was a bit of both. It's not that it's not an easy job, I'll tell you that much. But she
and you're working 12-hour shifts, if not more, sometime straight through. And I mean, you're literally at their disposal, whatever they want, So, with that being said, as you're going through this, are you with your depression and everything that you're going through? What are your thoughts like? What are you thinking?
I'm self-deprecating almost every single day, man. I'm destroying myself from the ground up. Um,
Like
I
out or
Well, no, just when I was dealing more severely with my depression, like the whole, like, everyone pictures a little voice in your head and stuff like that, like just telling you all these negative things. It's not just mentally thinking these things. It's the point where it's so constant you believe it. I was at the point where I believed every negative thought I had about myself. That you're a horrible husband, that you suck at your job, you'd be better off dead. It's it was kind of like, what's stopping you from ending up, like, what's stopping you from joining, you know what I mean? What's stopping you from adding to that 22 a day, you know what I mean? And it got bad, it got really bad. um it wasn't my first tango with depression, though. I had a readjustment issue after I got back stateside, and it's not, once you had, like, depression, it comes, it doesn't ever really truly go away. It's how you handle those thoughts and those feelings and redirect yourself. And I had a lot of redirecting issues. It wasn't that hard for me to fall back into that mind state. My wife uh found me one day in our bedroom. I had actually had a gun in my hand, loaded. I was go time. That was it. If it wasn't for her walking in, I'd be Andy Warholing the backside of the ceiling. You know what I mean? That was, or Jackson Pollock. I think that's the better word. Jackson Pollock. Yeah, Jackson Pollocking that ceiling. Um, but she grabbed the gun from my hand. She held me, and I cried. There was no stopping it. I had felt that terrible about myself, and I was believing all these negative thoughts I had about myself. There was nothing stopping it. But she pulled me out of it, and yeah, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here today.
well, no, dude, let it out. And that's what the podcast. Oh, by the way, you're number 7. I'm just kidding. But I love what you're doing right now because um, I've been in that situation. I've never been in the military, as I said, but as a business owner, you will develop the same thoughts and the same feelings, especially when things go rough financially, and you will sit there and think that, well, maybe if I was dead, it'd be better off. And I've had lots of those thoughts before. And, it, what I've realized too at the same time is none of that serves purpose because it just creates a bigger mess. You know what I mean? And as a person, as a father, as somebody else, there's a story about a man who had $8 in his bank account and he had $3 and he committed suicide because he felt like he couldn't provide for them, so he was better off dead. And I've been a person, and from time to time, even now in my business, because we're making a lot of investments and we're trying to do a lot of things, money can ebb and flow real quick, especially with things like that. And when you start to get desperate, you have to remember that it's just not worth it. It doesn't serve a purpose. It's like firing a gun without even looking through the sight. You're not going to hit anything. It's like a firecracker that just went off by itself. You didn't even get to see it in the air for all of its beauty. It's self-shorted. With that being said, talk about the day to day. A lot of times, as men, we kind of keep this inside and we don't want to admit these things. But I often talk to Lacey, and I tell her that I'm like feeling emotional or I'm feeling down, and I'll hold on to Lacey, and your wife, obviously, who you quit alcohol for. seems like a very strong, independent woman. And then, even in the millionaire mindsets, your partner and who you choose in life is also very, very important to your success and survival. Um, how has she helped you with all of those things? Obviously, she walked into the room and you had the gun in your hand. I can say that I have been very. I don't want to. This is a very long time ago, so anybody government watching, fuck off. But I have had times where I've been very sad, and I've had my own gun in my hand, and and there have been times where I've thought about it as well. I've never done anything, obviously, but you do get to those points where you just don't know what to do anymore. You know what I mean? And you're just so lost, and it's like I think that's where community is so important. After your wife, did you start to find other people in the military that thought like this once you got out of the mental institution and everything from the ward or whatever?
We called it the fifth floor at the military hospital. So getting fifth floor was kind of it wasn't uncommon, to be honest. But after the death of a friend, I had some friends that safe to say we kind of trauma bonded. It was we were a group of friends. We'd play video games. We'd talk about it. We'd talk about our self awareness and our mental health. I don't really talk to any of them anymore, but that's because of different ways, different walks of life, and everyone moves in different directions, and it's just kind of how it is. But when it comes to my day to day, I don't give myself a chance to think like that. I don't. I see my kids. I see my beautiful children and my wife, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm not saying that the demons ain't there, man, but I don't give them the opportunity to win. I get to work. I go to try and make that money. I go to try and be a good father. My kid wants to go play with Legos. Let's go play with Legos. Let's do it. You want to go to the park? Heck yeah, let's go do it. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of my one of my really nice benefits of being officially retired is and working for myself is I can make the time. There's no excuse for not having time. I can make the time.
Yeah.
And that's the most beautiful thing because I can end that cycle that I had growing up. You know what I mean? I can actually be there. I can be the support that my children need, the support that my wife needs. You know what I mean? Yeah, don't get me wrong. No marriage is perfect. There are days where we can't even look at each other. And it's mostly because of something I did. I guarantee you. Or said, because I sometimes speak without thinking.
Oh yeah.
That filter's kind of gone. But, honestly, if it wasn't for her, it wasn't for them. You know what I mean? I don't think I'd have that. Like, I walk around with a good smile on my face, and it's true, and it's real. I don't think about these things. I don't think about the past as much anymore. And what I do, I'm able to go to my wife, give her a big hug. If I need to cry it out, cry it out. And it's the same vice versa. We do everything we can to be the best versions of ourselves to be there for each other. We all got problems. You know what I mean? We all have baggage. We all have issues. And the beautiful thing about having my wife is, some days it'll feel like a very crowded mall up here, and she can make it all go quiet. Just being her.
That's awesome. Too bad you can't bring her on the show real quick so we can all see exactly who you're talking about.
So I would love for that to be the case. I believe she's over at her mother's house right now, helping put our children to sleep. I would love to be able to. Love to bring the whole family on at some point, but yeah, it is definitely my daughter's bedtime. She skipped a nap today.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about that night that you had the gun in your hand. As I said, I've been in a situation where I've been sad and I've often thought about things. Not that I was never an alcoholic, but I definitely see the thing is I don't like alcohol mainly because I just feel like after a while I just get nauseous feeling. You know what I mean? And I really don't like being like the whole like forward rushing thing. I like to have a good buzz, but sometimes, like, I can also drink a lot. And with that being said, there were lots of nights where I used to play Al Green. How do you mend a broken heart? And I would have whiskey, and that would be like my thing. And this is like me, me trying to recreate things I've seen in movies. Like the dramatic thing. And I remember like a lot of like drunken nights, just like kind of crying, just like carrying on, like talking to people on the phone, if you will. And it was kind of one of the things where I just don't think I don't think I really ever got anything from it, other than the fact that the next day it just didn't make anything better. And then with my whole quote unquote suicide thing, see, I was really picked on as a kid. I didn't have many friends. A lot of people thought I was weird. I mean, hey, a guy that wears a mask could be a little bit weird. I'm just kidding. And with that being said, I was actually going to inject myself with gasoline, which I found out would have been a very painful thing to do, which I'm very glad I did not do that. But with that being said, I did have the needle pressed against my skin, and I was thinking about doing it. And then much like you, with your wife coming in, it's just like something just changed, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this. And then I was like, I wanted to do something else, like life related. And from that point, I've never had those thoughts until later when I started my own business and things got really tight and we were broke and we barely had any money. And, a lot of those thoughts come back. And I think in life, we're constant. I don't think things like this ever go away. I think it's like, it's like waves, it's like high tide and low tide, ebbs and flows, like what they say in masonry. And I think the value of this is you got to remember things like your wife and those moments where you were really in the balance, but you pulled yourself back, and you can do that again. You can do that again, and that's why I love the concept of one more. Do you know that one by the book, One More?
I'm familiar with it, but you'd have to run me through it a little bit.
So the guy's dad was an alcoholic, and he said, "Hey, Dad, do you think you'll always be sober?" And his dad looked at him and said, "I don't know if I'll always be sober, but I can tell you that I'll be sober for one more day." And with that being said, the concept of just one more. If you could just make it one more day, just one more thought, just one more self applause, just pick yourself up one more, you could get to the next one, and then the next one, and then it becomes a snowball effect. And I think for me, really, like with you, I rely a lot on my wife, Lacey, for support, for guidance, for all that. And when you have structured, and this is where it comes kind of like back to the Russell Brand thing, he says the mind of an addict is totally irrational until you understand that there is no real hope unless there is structured support. And I think, like you said, like that's why I feel like you liked the military, because there was structure. It gave you something to do. And then when you became a family man, it gave you the same type of feeling. You had something to do. You were responsible again. You had some type of position. Yes or no?
Responsibility. I'm not going to say I'm the most responsible man. Definitely don't look at my credit card statement, because if I said I was, I'd definitely be lying. But
we didn't say you were frugal. We just said you made good decisions.
I tried it. I'm just saying, I wouldn't give myself that title by any means, But honestly, yeah, I gave myself another form of structure, but it was my structure. That was the difference, because there was the military structure, which that sucks. But then I got to create my own. I got to I got to be the end of the chaos. You know what I mean? I got to be my own form of rock. You know, I got to be the structure finally. Not look for it, but be it. You know, and that's really what's been making life the amazing ride that it's been recently. You know, it's just the fact that I finally was able to do me and be genuinely happy with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and this brings us to our next topic for talking, which is transitioning from your military, career into woodworking, into entrepreneuring, and really, pursuing a path to build your own business, your brand. Talk a little bit about that. When you talk about how hard the military was and some of the things you went through, why in the world would you ever want to start your own business?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. It is a stressful process starting your own business, getting your name out there, plugging yourself. You know, gauging your prices. It's hard, but towards the end of my career, I was dying for a hobby. I needed to do something because it was day in, day out a suck. You know what I mean? And I needed to find something else to do other than just sit there and play video games all day. And I talked to my wife about it. I was like, I'm gonna go get a second job. I gotta go do something. I gotta make a little extra money or something. I gotta feel like I'm still the guy, the dependable one. You
Yep.
know what I mean? And I got a job actually. Well, first and foremost, we bought a house. My wife and I, towards the end of my career, we bought a house. We lived in it for maybe about a year before I got out, a year and a half before I got out. And housework, I mean, it never ends, man. House upkeep, maintenance, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to do a flip. I've always wanted to try it. I've always wanted to make something my own, do the construction, learn these skills. I've said it for years, but the day I stop learning is the day I'm 6 feet under. And I'm so fascinated with doing things with my hands. And I went to go. I wanted to make a hearth or a mantle for our fireplace or our new home that we had bought. And I had this idea for something rustic and solid wood. And I was like, why don't I do it out of a slab? Let's do a slab of lumber. And like, for those who don't know, slab lumber is essentially just cutting chunks out of the tree. They're usually about 2 to 3 inches thick, but it's raw and it's the wood in still giving homage to the beauty of that is the tree. And I wanted to build a mantle. I wanted to build a solid wood live edge mantle. And I found out that there was a guy that was literally not even a half a block away from my house who was selling slabs out of this tiny shop. And I fell in love with it. I was just like, this is the spot for slab lumber. I ended up not doing a slab mantle at all. I ended up doing some 4x4s that I ended up decorating and make it look real pretty with epoxy. I'll have to send pictures to you at some point, man, because it's cool. Probably one of my finer, funner things I got to do for my home. Everything else has been plumbing and drywall and BS, or electrical. And the guy offered me a job. The one who was running the shop, he offered me a job. Live Edge Innovations was the first spot I worked at, and it was all slab. And he had all this wood from trees from local arborists that he had dried, had done in a kiln. And he's like, I don't have time, man. I need someone here at the shop. Can you run it? And I was selling slabs. I was selling them at dollar board foot prices, and I was just haggling and hassling and or hustling and selling, man. That's what I was doing. But I had this urge. I wanted to make more. And so I started messing with epoxy. Mind you, I'm still active duty, right? So once I got off the clock, I'd go straight to the shop. I'd start making sawdust. And somebody came in one day and they asked me if I could make them a coffee table. I was like, sure, why not? I've never really worked with epoxy, but I'll give it a shot. You know what I mean? I'm not going to charge you an arm and a leg. I mean, if you're willing to work the process with me, you know what I mean? I can get you a good deal. Just pay me for my labor, And it was probably one of the strangest looking coffee tables I ever did because I didn't know how to mix powders. I just dumped the powder on top and expected it to swirl. It looked like a crazy tie-dye with silvers and oranges and blues, but it was still probably the coolest thing I'd made. And at the time anyway, and I I moved forward from there. I kept going. I was just like, all right, well, let's try something else. Somebody wanted a dining table. I could do that. Watched like 50 videos on how to do it properly, and learned all these tips and tricks. Taught myself through YouTube University on how to do this stuff, and I made this guy a dining room table set, and we sat it on top of a couple of Jack Daniels barrels we got from the factory. Made some matching benches, and it was the first table I ever made. He was also active duty military, and he's like, dude, I love doing this stuff. Like, do you need help around the shop or anything? You doing any projects? We ended up just bullshitting, and we became best friends. And he's my best friend, my business partner. Seth, if you're watching this, I'm talking about you, buddy. We became a business. We started working, doing tables. Turned out there wasn't a lot of money in doing epoxy tables because everyone thought they were so expensive or just cool, but they never really wanted one for themselves. So I was just like, well, we need a name. We need a brand. And I registered the business a couple years ago. I went through one of them online companies and started registering my business, created a logo. My little dragon you see right here. And Mythic Woodworks became a thing. We started doing small projects like doing cutting boards, doing something small because we wanted to try and create a velocity product that we could make in mass, you know what I mean, and then put on Etsy because we wanted to be an Etsy store or just making custom stuff. And it was slow, really slow in the beginning, you know what I mean, but we picked up a little bit, we got some money, and I said, screw it. Let's find a product. Right after we had that conversation, he got orders. He had to transfer. He went down to Florida. He's still there. He's still a co-owner of Mythic Woodworks, but he mostly just gets updates, and I do all the work. So,
partner, if you will.
But one day he came to visit. My daughter had just turned 1. And he came to visit. He's Uncle Seth or Uncle Bubba in this house, and he's spitting image of like personality. Me and him, like you could swear we were brothers, except he's a little bit more of an asshole than I am. But that's just about it. But we get together. My wife's just like, I swear, if you ever left me, I wouldn't be surprised if it was for him.
That's funny. So let's talk a little bit about some of the sacrifices. You talked a little bit about being slow in the beginning. And, for a lot of people that don't own businesses, a lot of people think that you just jump in and everything works. And you can go many years in business before you either break even or you profit. Amazon is a great example. Amazon for 10 years lost money, but it was a controlled loss. And what they didn't realize is everything, because they had no money to show, is because they were reinvesting at such a high rate into the company. And as a company owner, you're going to spend a majority of your income making your job easier by buying tools or resources or adding people and really trying to scale, because in a business, it's all about scaling. The idea is, if you're your business, like see with Madman Plant, I'm kind of my business because I'm the avatar, I'm the character. But a lot of the back end is being delegated to other people to help out, make this a lot easier. And same with you, you know what I mean? And the idea is you want to be able to grow. So this way, eventually you're able to step away from your business. The biggest thing is you don't want to work so long on something that you don't scale and grow, because you can still wind up with nothing to show. Even after 10, 20 years of hard work, dedication, working that clock. So it's very, very important that you think about that. So with that, let's talk about some of those challenges of, in the beginning of building it up, getting the right, influence, and then the name. How did we come up with the name Mythic?
Well, so it's a little bit of a funny story. So we were sitting there at my computer, just going over the paperwork, and we needed to put a name. And we wanted to hardcore focus on anything and everything nerdy and geeky, man. Like, I'm talking from Star Wars to D&D, Yu-Gi-Oh cards to video games, man. We wanted to focus on every aspect of the nerdism. We wanted to create products that were nerdy and funny and personalized for these people and or for clients, and that's what we wanted to be. So we wanted to come up with a name that really we felt represented the want of the enjoyment of fantasy. And we were going through it, and every word we were talking, every we wanted to be Legendary Woodworks. That name's already taken. We wanted to be Dungeon Nerds, already taken. And we tried Mystic, already taken. Like everything, every word. And finally, Seth said, "What about mythic? Like mythical creature? Like that wouldn't that seem like something we could roll with?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, let's give it a shot." Hey, it's not registered. Let's do it. And it was. We sat there, and I was finishing up the paperwork, and I had to retype the name. And I said it rather slow. I pronounce because I'm retyping things. I break the letters up in groups. So I said Mythic Woodworks. Mythic. Oh crap. Hey Seth, we just named our business a giant wiener joke. And he's like, "What? How? You say it slow." And he laughed about it. He's like, "Now we gotta name it. Now we have to." And so it stuck. It was kind of an inside running joke between the two of us, and we were gonna at one point have a phallic dragon at the logo just as a joke. And I was like, "No, we really can't do that."
Yeah.
I want something family friendly.
Yeah, right. Just in case we decide to make some family friendly products.
Exactly. I want to be invited to things, not banned because of our name, man.
Mythic Woodworks by Crimson Grows.
Yeah, no. So we were a giant. We were running around with this name. After his transfer, Seth had to back away from the business, obviously, and I kept rolling with the name. I rolled with it. Anyone who interacted with me, I was like, "Brandon, Mythic Woodworks," and we rolled with it. I wear it as a badge of honor, man. You know what I mean? I'm not honor, but proud. Something I'm very proud of. Like, this is mine. This is me, and
yeah,
and that's how I had to work with it. I had to run with it, because if I didn't believe this was going to be the next best dang thing, it's who is, you know what I mean? And it takes a lot of time. You're running a woodworking business. There's long hours, late nights. I mean, right before I went and saw you in Maryland, man, I got 3 hours of sleep because I was in the shop working. And it's just, I lose a little bit of sleep, and you lose a little bit of money. You know, I mean, wood, you're carving into it. You make mistakes. They're kind of permanent depending on the size. I lost. I probably burned through probably about $3,000 to $4,000 in either materials and products over the past couple of years in just oopsies. And just, but mind you, if I make an oopsie, like I make a mess up, I got to find a way to repurpose it. You know, I gotta remake it, and I recarve, recut, reburn, whatever I need to do, and I make it into an individualized piece. You know, there's no true loss in this shop. There's just another project waiting to happen. And that's how I've had to do it. But the long hours and the money, you know, at the end of the day, I fully believe that it was worth it. You know, I fully still believe that it's worth it. I mean, heck, we didn't fall into doing rolling trays until a little over 7 months ago. You know what I mean? We toyed with the idea. You know, I mean, we made a couple here and there, but I didn't full on start making them until about 7 months ago. And I've been rolling with it, running with it. I was like, this is what I'm going to be. I want to be one of the most well-known mythic smoking accessory companies. A thing of legend, man. I want to make the cool stuff. You know, I want to make the things that make people like, wow, that's gorgeous. And my products are constantly evolving, you know. But the thing that's also evolving and growing is my family. My kids are growing up. They're I mean, it's just yesterday I was holding my daughter in my arms for the very first time in my mind, you know what I mean? So even with the sacrifices, there has to be balance. I could lose myself in this job, never spend more than maybe 45 minutes to an hour with my kids every 2 days, but it would drive me crazy. You know what I mean? And it's more of a lesson of balance, you know, finding that midpoint. You know, hey, maybe I'm not going to make this deadline. You know what I mean? Because you got to set your own. But I mean, and hope to goodness that your clients understanding. You know what I mean? But I mean, things take time, and I'm not going to make that sacrifice at the expense of my family. Expense of myself all day. My family, no.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good, and I think it's something that we should all strive for is being like that. I am guilty of the fact where, in my case, I'm not retired from the military, so I really have to hustle, to the fact that there really is no like dead time. At least you have that in your background where that aids in, being able to have that time to relax and stuff, and that's why I think service and sacrifice, is what people don't understand is, that's why, they give you that assistance and, what you've done for our country and all the other jazz and everything like that, really plays a big role. And I do think that even if you're in that situation or if you're, hustling all the time, um, putting your family first, and I'm guilty of it too, especially with the road show and everything going on. A lot of things can go out the window and nights become days and then days become weeks. And next thing you know, it's like, holy, you know what I mean? Like another week went by. So I do agree with that. Now, you talked a little bit about, being like a leading smoking, company or for rolling trays and other stuff like that. How do you keep to your commitment to like organic, natural products and stuff like that? How are you going to maintain that as you scale?
Well, I I don't ever like using synthetic materials if I don't have to. You know what I mean? Unless on request. You know what I mean? Epoxy, obviously, synthetic material, man-made stuff. Then that's kind of my exception. But I always try and make sure that whatever I'm using is food safe. Whatever if I'm making it, I want to be able to eat a steak dinner off of it. You know what I mean? Because there's already enough crap in the world that gives you cancer just by looking at it. You know what I mean? Or even being just around it. And the natural finishes and stuff like that I like to utilize, yeah, they require a little extra work, but I don't want to be the person contributing to all the bull crap that's going into other people's bodies. You know what I mean? So I look at products. I look at finishes. If some new company comes out with an all natural finish, I will peel it apart. I will look at it, smell it. I mean, I won't taste it. At one point, it might accidentally happen, but I'm checking everything out about it because I want to guarantee that I'm giving something to my clients that's real, and not fake and destructive to not just your body, but um, destroying the natural beauty of what wood is. It's beautiful. I mean, you ever look at a piece of wood, look at the grain, man. That's natural beauty right there. And I want to build things to make that, be able to expound on it and to show homage to the actual beauty that nature has taken time to make. And that's one reason why I love working with wood. I don't think I'll ever make plastic trays, man. I don't think that's going to be something I'm ever going to be comfortable with doing. There's millions of pounds of garbage and plastics in our landfills and our oceans. If my rolling tray falls apart, it'll be able to return back into the soil. You know what I mean? Be able to contribute back into the ecosystem. But if I'm using finishes that are terrible for you and terrible for the environment, I'm not helping. You know what I mean? Yeah, it costs a little extra, but to me, it's one less guilty thing on my conscience.
As you talk about that, I also too wonder, how do you integrate your elements of your journey and your trauma into your work, because a lot of your pieces are like perfect, right? And then you said that inside your shop, there's no pieces that are wasted to just reuse projects. What if you found a way to make a version of like quote unquote like trauma trays, and they have like different feelings and maybe statements or quotes by other people that talk about severe like depression or stuff like that, and it's not perfect, it's rough and jagged. Because see, as a mason, if for those who don't know about Freemasonry, I bring it up a lot because it kind of really falls in line with self development. It's using the working tools of a master mason. So when you go to a lodge, a blue lodge is what they call it, because the walls are blue and it has checkered floors. Um, and the lodge, there's two rocks, right, at the lodge, and then there's steps that go to the worshipful master. He sits in the east. Anyways, these rocks are called ashers, and one rock is extremely jagged and rough, and the other rock is like this one, which is like perfectly smooth and sanded, and made to look perfect. And it's designed to teach you that in life we all come in as these jagged rocks. So I was just thinking with my question of how do you going to integrate your personal journey with your trays, you could come up with quote unquote trauma trays that reflect different things that you can relate to other people, and then they're less more like what somebody would use to use on a daily basis, but something that they would like hold sacred and have a lot of sentimental value, and it's something that they can relate to, and it's something that I don't think is branded. You know what I mean? So like you're having a rough day, then the trauma tray and the tray's gonna look just like your day. It's gonna be not perfect. It's gonna have rough edges. It's gonna have a saying like a message of hope or some type of quote. So
I
just
mean,
an idea.
I was gonna say I would love to throw inspirational quotes on these things. I would love to be able to put statements that'll help keep people's heads level. You know what I mean? Bring it back to reality a little bit. I'd love to be able to do that. And I think that's something I can definitely do because there's so many cutoffs I have, little imperfections. You know what I mean? Every person has their own little imperfections, but those imperfections make you. They make you perfect for you. You know what I mean? That they're part of who you are. And I would love to be able to start doing that. And, honestly, I might actually tinker around with that later tonight after I put my wife to bed anyway. That is something I could actually I love that. That is definitely something I can ride with.
Like one definitely is taking the lyric from Shine Down and staring down the barrel of a 45, and then make it like a kind of like a gun theme one, because in the song he says take the message from the unborn child. I don't have to look at the rest of the lyrics, but it's about suicide and contemplating death, and the main lyric in the hook is staring down the barrel of a 45, searching
Searching through the ashes of another life.
life, no real
I know that song by heart, man. That is a good song.
But it just resembles your story, because I think too is as you create this, your entire childhood and your trauma could come out through your work, and it could touch other people in a very powerful sense who also go through that. Which brings me also to my next question, which is describe how your commitment influences the design process and the materials chosen.
So when it comes to the design process, I have always been a big fan of functionality. I want to be able to use something to its fullest potential, like a Swiss Army knife. If I've got 19 gadgets on this knife, I guarantee you I'm going to find an excuse to use every single one of them. I want to create things functional, so that's the big thing I take into consideration when I make my trays. Like, what is what can I add to this that can make it an extra function that'll make things easier? You know what I mean? Or just a cool little feature to it. Like I created a line. It was inspired by something I had seen, and I put phone holders in my rolling trays, where you can put your phone in a rolling tray and have it there while you're watching or scrolling through your social medias and stuff like that, and smoking your weed. And that's and like the designs all dictate based upon what I think is going to function better, or whatever a client needs, you know. And that I love hearing other people's ideas. I love seeing other people's creativity come out, and I love being able to make that creative thought into a reality. And it takes a lot of dedication to try and make that a thing. But when I'm selecting slabs or lumber for this, I'm picking out, if I see an imperfection I think's cool and I can expound on it, that's my piece. I mean, there's no perfect piece of wood. You know, they're all beautiful in their own right. You know, but like with people, our imperfections make us beautiful. You know, and same with a slab of wood. Like, yeah, hey, that's got a knot in it, but you know what's cool about that? I can dump some epoxy in there, put some cool colors in it, and expound on it. Hey, this would look good with orange. This would look good with gold or something bright, or blue or dark. You know what I mean? It's expounding on those things, because our imperfections make us who we are. And same with my pieces. The imperfections make them what they are. And at the end of the day, I'm able to create something beautiful. You know? And I love it. You know, I absolutely love everything about it. Looking at a product when it's finally done and be like, you did good. That is beautiful. The hardest part is letting it go. That is the hardest part, because I'm just like, I want to keep it.
Like, another one, not for sale. What?
This was not for sale.
So no, you're supposed to be making them to sell and not keep.
See, if it was going my way every time, I'd have a million of these things.
Look at this one. Look at that one.
Like, oh, you selling these? Oh no, these are mine. These are all mine. My wife would yell at me at some point about it. She's like, you don't need 50 of these damn things.
Sound like my wife with things I want.
Mm.
So let me ask you a question. Now that this is all said and done, you know, where are you now mentally in your head?
At peace. I mean, yeah, I have my good days and my bad. You know what I mean? But I don't let what happened define me. I can't. If I do, I'm not able to live to my fullest potential as a human being, as a father and a husband. Like, it's okay to, like, my mother became a licensed therapist to help children who went through similar stuff that I did. She actually is starting a respite ranch in Kansas to help children who experience stuff like me and my siblings did. And she wants to help these people become the best they can be, not just for themselves, but for everyone that love and care about them. You know what I mean? And if I let my thoughts and my past and my history rear its ugly head and take control all over again, man, I'm not the best man that I can be at that point. But that's okay. You know, sometimes it's okay to feel those things, and it's okay to cry. I don't care who you are. It is okay to bawl your eyes out, ugly cry boogers. I'm talking, like, I can't tell you how many times I've had to comb them out of this mustache. You know what I mean? But it's all part of healing. And if you don't allow yourself to heal, you're only cheating yourself. And healing sucks. Healing hurts, because sometimes you got to relive those pains and those memories. That's something my mom taught me. But the trauma doesn't define you. You define you. And you can be you and be the best version that you can be. You're the master of your own fate. You know what I mean? And only you can get in your way. And that's something I live and I think about regularly. It's like, don't get in your own way. You got to do better. You got to keep doing this. It can get to the point where I can be over the top and self-deprecating, you know, but, you know, I let myself feel that way for a little bit, but then I hit back at it. I got to keep going. I got to keep doing it. Because it's not for me anymore. It's for them. It's for my kids. It's for my wife. For my family. You know what I mean? And I love my family to death, man. Like, it's It is my rock, my driving force, my purpose. The business is fun and all, but I mean, I'd be nothing without my family.
I feel that too, especially with Logan and Lacey. I feel the exact same way, and they also keep you grounded. So now we're at the point of the interview where I'm going to bring Grownomics on in 10 minutes for a smoke session. But this is where other people can chat and I'll respond. I try not to respond to people during the chat because I don't want to interrupt, especially if I'm getting in a deep conversation or somebody's getting emotional. I just find it rude. So if you have been trying to talk to me during the chat, I really do appreciate it. I'm just doing my due diligence. I just try to take every interview very seriously and respect the people's times and their stories and really give them the utmost respect and platform to do so. So, with that being said, in this next 10 minutes, this opens up the floor to you to talk candidly about anything we left out or you wanted to touch base on or we didn't mention. But, kind of just take your time and let it ride.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. So, honestly, I wanted to get a little more in touch on my mom a little bit. So, I swear my mom's got the biggest heart on the planet. I mean, having 6 kids of her own and then taking on 6 more troubled ones and then finding time to help every one of these children and not rip out her hair. That woman is the definition of mom. And the fact that she has continued to want to love and help and heal people is an amazing thing. She's actually, as I said, she's starting a ranch. It's called Skylight Respite Ranch, and it's in Kansas. But it's an opportunity to heal and seek help. It's not just for children's, but it's also for the parents. You know what I mean? I am a big fan of adoption. Huge fan of it because there are so many kids out there who they felt like me. Unwanted, undesired, cheated by life and the system. No one wants me. And these people who adopt and love these children to the fullest of their hearts can handle. You know what I mean? They're the real people who sacrifice. Because it takes a lot to be what these people and these children have needed for all these years. You know what I mean? They're heroes, and I salute all adoptive parents out there. They are, and one for mine, I wouldn't be here. And honest to goodness, like my mom's like one of my closest friends. Like not just my mother, but she's always. As I said, I call her like every other day, if not every day. And she's always loving, compassionate, understanding. My dad the same. He's a good guy. Honestly, when I was adopted, we looked. They couldn't. There were some people who couldn't tell the adopted ones from the non-adopted, because I look a lot like my adoptive mom, apparently. But they were my rock for the longest time. But they got the biggest hearts because they're doing this for all these children and these families. I'm not going to say I look a lot like my mom. I say there's some similarities where some people just like, oh, yeah, no, that's definitely one of the kids that you gave birth to, right? Like, no, I'm adopted. I'm adopted.
Well, I think that's one of the beautiful things, as my parents who adopted me too. I feel just as loved, Now, I wish they would play a bigger role in Logan's life, but that's a totally different conversation for a totally different day. But no, I always grew up feeling extremely loved and appreciated. And I think that's just so important to children is that, and I think we have to remember that, as we go through, we're all really just trying to find our way and to feel value and to feel purpose. And by doing that, it's hard, and you said earlier too, it's about dealing with the negative. And I have my own therapist I talk to who actually I have him watch the shows and he gives me feedback on how to talk to people better. And he actually says that he's actually pretty impressed with the questions I ask and how I handle the situations. But even with him, like every time I usually have a session with him, I usually get a very emotional, wind up crying. But then again, that's part of that 10-year plan that I'm creating for myself is I want to get rid of all the negatives. So to do so, I know I have to be uncomfortable. I know I have to experience these things to go through what I have to go through to truly be in life and feel in life what I want. And that's something that can't be faked. It's something that's real. It's something that's going to take years and time to build. But in the end, it'll all be, worth it. And I think that's all how we got to look at our lives and our journeys is it really is what we make it. So
only you can get in your own way. Those are the words I'd say a lot. But it's true, man. I mean, and that's the thing that sucks the most about the healing process, though, is embracing that and not just holding yourself accountable, but moving past it. Because you got to work around it. You got to work through it to get around or get through it just to heal and put that crap in the garbage where it belongs, man. It's not. Yeah, it's not easy to heal. It's 100% not easy to heal. If it was, I mean, we'd all be perfect, happy, healthy individuals with no trauma. I mean, it'd be great, but it's some work, and you got to put in that work. But it's worth it long. I will attest that I am living proof of putting in the work's worth it. You know what I mean?
I do, very much so. So with that being said, we are going to have a smoke session now. So this is a time where everybody can come in. If you have a question for Mythic or Brandon, please go ahead and ask it now. We definitely want to hear from you. And I'm going to join, and I'm going to bring in Gronomics here. Good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Asking Gronomics if he was good to come in because I don't want to.
Hey, Gronomics.
How's it going?
How you doing, brother?
Gronomics is our mod for Madman Plan. Also, a very good friend of mine. We met in Arizona, and we're like brothers. We have a lot in common. Our dogs look alike, so we're very connected. So it's awesome to have him in the background and helping his wife are amazing people, and I really love them both. They have great stories. You can go to our website and our social media and watch both of their stories. But it's all about story, and it's all about you guys watching. And appreciate everybody that's in the chat right now talking. But yeah, if you guys have questions for Brandon, fire away. I'm gonna fire up a poll, and we're gonna start our last giveaway. We're gonna do. We're gonna do two. So we got what should we hashtag, Brandon?
Let's see here. Let's do healing.
I like it.
Ooh, perfect.
Very nice.
And Timothy, yes, it's all about respect from my guest. I take people and their time very seriously here, and I just want people to understand that I'm a little bit different, and I'm a lot more serious. So it's all about that and create a safe space. So while people are entering, go ahead and entering hashtag healing. Fire away with any questions. I personally can say though that on the Mythic Woodworking, I definitely love my tray, and as I'm using it right now, it definitely is nice. And obviously, there's tons of trays, but I definitely think what makes this one special and Mythic special in general is the fact that it's a story, and that's why I think it's so great. And that's why I asked them about like a trauma tray or something that incorporates, every like milestone of your life. One for like represents your military service. one that represents your family, action, I don't know if you have one that's for Mythic Woodworking. It's just really cool, and I'm proud of everything that you're putting into it. It takes courage and balls to get out there to sell a product to somebody that has done that and still, in a way, selling themselves and their brand. I totally respect the hustle. And when you have great products, it's great. And what's cool is at the events that you've been to lately, he actually brings everything. And if you buy one of the trays, he can laser engrave on site for you with one of his X tools. So pretty cool, dude.
That little name drop there. X Tool, sponsor me.
Sponsor him. Let's get him. Actually, you need to get Thunder Laser. We need to get Thunder over here because I almost bought a Thunder Laser last year, and they are really cool and really nice company, and they're made here in Texas. All right. So this giveaway is going to be. Let me go grab it. No, I should just have them lined up in the real. Damn.
Man, great story, by the way.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's a journey. Life's a journey, man. It's just you can't let the bullshit define you. That's the only thing I can really take away from my life, and giving yourself the time to heal and feel the pain. That's
All right. So here's the surprise. You're gonna win a picture of honey. I'm just kidding.
that is a really good photo, man.
Taken on a cell phone at the hotel in Baltimore.
Was that before or after the video was shot?
Oh yeah. So him and Honey made a video together. I caught Honey in the act. I'm pretty sure it's against the law federally. So.
Last thing I need is for people to be calling me names and stuff like that. She just wanted to cuddle, man. That was it, and I was already tired.
We have the text chats
You're the victim.
Like those Predator shows. And remember, everybody.
Hell yeah.
I look at this all the time when I doubt myself. You need to believe in yourself. Number one rule. So, but no. What you're really entering to win is this little, can of fogger thing. Some people are like, I'm just kidding. You're going to win this awesome Petra Tools can of fogger. I actually like mine. I've had multiple different versions. This is really good for like your seedlings, IPMing. It's where it's not going to put too much water, but it's going to create that nice vapor, especially if you're doing a foliar feed. These things are awesome. So I highly recommend checking them out if you haven't, but they are great. And they've been around for a great while. I've worked with Petra Tools now for a couple of years. I have a lot of their sprayers and their products. So I can attest to their customer service and their products. It is pretty good. So with that being said, do I have Crimson and GI? Are we doing any more seeds? If so, let me know. If not, we're going to spin the wheel here.
How many entries do we have?
We got 14.
All right.
Christian will throw in again. So you're going to get a pack of Dead by Dawn Genetics. All right. Ooh. Somebody else entered. All right, here we go. Do, 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 do. Spanish Dre. I think you just won again, too. He's a repeat. That is awesome, bro. All right, you know what to do. Because you did last time. Oh. Well, this was awesome, dude. So before we wrap up, let's tell people how we can find you and how we can support you.
Honestly, best way to get a hold of me or find my products or things that I have made, it's going to be through Instagram, Mythic Woodworks VA. If you're interested in having something made by me or interested in one of my rolling trays, shoot me a line there. I love to hear your ideas. I'd love to see what I can do to make things happen. I ship all over the 50, so, and for larger projects, within good reason, I'll deliver them myself. You know what I mean? So, Mythic Woodworks VA on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook. Website's in the works right now. I had one, but I want to make it into a little bit of a store. But hopefully that'll be sometime soon.
Well, that is awesome. And then also, before we get off, I'd also want to talk about a couple of things real quick. So, with that being said, we're going to put out a poll. So please make sure you're signed up for the website. We're almost at 420 members. We're less than 100 away since February. So the website is growing tremendously, and we really appreciate you guys coming. However, we are going to start doing some different things with the website. So you definitely want to stay tuned with that. However, also, please make sure that you are signed up for the newsletter. The newsletter will have exclusive information, discount codes, and more. And we're going to be putting out a poll and questionnaire about content, what you guys see and what hear about, so we can better cater the platform to what you guys are engaged to. So a lot coming towards you. If you receive a lot of emails from us, just know that it's not selling you anything. It's just educating you and keeping you up to date. Also, a new email will go out every Wednesday before I go live an hour in advance, letting you know that I'm about to go live. So you'll be reminded for that as well. But it's all about staying connected, because right now, even though I have 8,000 followers, which may seem like a lot to people, just kidding. It's not. I'm still trying to break 10. I'm getting an active reach and engagement of 1,000 people. So that's not even half of my audience. So the email is going to be the best way for me to communicate with you. Instagram and Facebook and all those other platforms suck. So that's why my website exists. So all the conversations will take place there. Mythics will also have a page on our forum. So he will be able to talk about his artwork, his woodwork, and everything else like that. And it's going to be awesome. So I really encourage you guys to check him out and his story. Follow up with him and definitely get a tray like I did. I really like this, and it really is nice, and the quality and just the story, and just know the man behind the craft, and that also drives a lot of value into the product as well. So I really do appreciate you and your time and you being on here and everything like that. And can you say what kind of event NECAN will be? Because I'm trying to go meet you. Okay, great. Real quick. So if you haven't been to NECAN is a B2B event, which means it's business to business. So in this case, a lot of people that are going to be there are in the industry. So your major manufacturers, your white brand labels, your big machine companies, your security companies, your RFID companies for scanning, tags, to Bank of America to Cat Construction. So think of it as a giant convention, very professional. You can't smoke inside the indoors, but you can go outside and smoke. But if you really want to get a good look at what your industry is really about and get to know some of your favorite brands like HLG or Hygrozyme, our sponsor, which is on the bronze level, which we love Hygrozyme, or learn about AC Infinity or all these other great companies, this is where you can go get swag and talk to the reps themselves. You can meet the owners of the companies. So this is a really cool place to meet your brands. And then, other events, are more like smoking events. So like when we go to California later this year in Santa Rosa, that's the Hall of Flowers. So that's a big, I think it's a grow competition. Everybody's smoking, and we're going to be walking the ground. We won't have a booth there, but it's a great event, and I recommend, if you haven't been to a NECAN or something like that, you check it out. It'll blow your mind when you realize how many professionals are in this space, and that's why it's so important for us to get connected and to build this community, because we need each other, and there's so many people that want to play ball, and it's just cool to meet everybody. Hello, Madman and Madam if she's around, and Gronomics. Cheers to a wonderful evening. What up, 804, my good buddy? Anthony, congratulations on the win. Spanish Stray, congratulations. Casey, congratulations on your win. What's going up, Nove's Farm? Timothy, K, Pearl, Frankie's, Borderman Jack. See, I wanted to make sure I shouted all you guys out. Green Year.
So, Girls Make It Grow, that's Val from The Secret Garden.
Yep, that's Valerie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome. Speaking of which, I'm going to be reaching out to you either this week or next week about picking a day and time in Arizona next year for us to come out. I want to do the exact same tour. It's going to be the Secret Garden. It'll be Metro Grow and Arizona Midlight. Which, if you guys give me a secret garden or Secret Garden T-shirt, I will wear that on my live too. So, but yeah, I definitely want to come out and visit Arizona because that's where I met Gronomics, and that's where Dan and Valerie are, and it was just an awesome time. Plus, Arizona is just an awesome place to live. So, with that, let's do another rip, and then we are out of here, my dudes. Oh, and I have one more giveaway. Oh yeah, we definitely can, and we will, because I definitely want to do that. Because I'm touring each year from now on. There is no like stopping this. Just for anybody wondering if this is like a one shot thing, absolutely fucking not. I mean, we got some big people that I think they're going to join us next year that weren't able to join us this year, and the impact we're making, the conversations we're having. This is all really big, and it's just the beginning. And plus, I've had Madman Plant for almost 2.5 years now building this. So, Crimson's going to throw in again. Get GI on here. Where is GI? I'm a little bit disappointed. Look, Pooh Bear. Yeah, not Boo Bear. Pooh Bear. Or Pooh. All right, let's see here. No. My mask is taking over my face again. All right. Hashtag. What are we hashtagging?
I got nothing. Alex, what do you got?
How about hashtag Woodworks?
All right.
I'll take it.
And we spelled it fancy too. So Crimson is throwing in some genetics. I got another mystery box.
Oh,
Mystery boxes are fun because, see, what I do is I take these and I fill them up with a lot of the ground score items that we get from events. So most of the mystery boxes will have a lot of like random things from different states as well. So kind of like your exclusive items, if you will. Okay, listen, yes, Crimson, it is the same box, but there will be two winners, all right? Shut up, stop paying attention to my live. That's funny. He's like, it looks like the same box.
It's the display one.
I'm gonna Rachel Ray this shit, all right?
Yeah, that's my box.
All right. So, okay. Oh, also another little thing here. So people are always like, how do I find you at an event? And the answer is, when I'm on camera, I have the mask on. But when I'm not on camera, I'm going to be next week. I think that's 2 weeks. I'm going to be dyeing my hair purple. I already tried dyeing it purple, but I didn't use bleach. And the reason I'm dyeing it purple, it's actually like a nice classy purple, kind of like my logo color, but is because one, my son has autism, but two, in psychology, purple is a very powerful color and represents a lot. So the people that I talk to on my podcast, this is in us like solidarity with them and their stories and what I'm doing in like the psychology realm. So this way, all you got to do is look for a guy with purple hair and bright green shoes, and that's me. So this way, in person, I have my mask off so you can actually meet me. Now there are two types of people. There are people who say, "Man, it's really awesome to meet you with your mask off. I feel very special." And then there's people who are like, "Damn, I really wish I could have met you with your mask on because that's how I know you as." So both good responses. So if you do want to take a picture together, I will be more than happy to put my mask on or talk to you with the mask on. And if you want to sit down for the podcast, we have a great QR code. You'll just scan it and it'll take you right to it, and you can scan your own scheduled time at the event so you don't have to wait. A lot of people will come to the event and they'll stand around. Like Tom from Seedsman stood for an hour in front of my booth so he could sit down for 10 minutes and talk to me, which meant a lot to me because, hey, that's Seedsman and they waited that long to talk to me. But, you know, you can save yourself the hassle and not have to keep coming back and checking, keep coming back and checking. And you don't miss your opportunity because we have a swag bag and a whole bunch of goodies. So, yeah, so like I said, like if I have my mask off, that's because I'm just talking to people, handing out information. But if I have it on, it's because we're doing podcasts and we're ready to go. Look. I kind of look like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Eat the pizza.
What?
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
oh no. Oops.
Would you like some Pepperoncinis.
Oh, I love those things, man.
Right.
I'll demolish a bunch in one sitting if people let me. My body will hate me later, but oh, I can't stop.
It says, but what happens if you create a character? What do you mean by that? Yo, the pizza though. Oh yeah. Order the poo poo player. I mean, I think you said platter. Yeah, I ordered pizza earlier before the show so I could eat. And I had like 2 slices and then it was showtime. So as soon as the show's over, I'm gonna go heat up some pizza. All right. Well, anyways, everybody, have a great night. We'll see you later. I'm just kidding. No. We still got a giveaway.
I was like, wait, what?
That's not how I end my lives. It's like, bye. Nervously fast. No smoked salmon. Okay, yes, no smoked salmon tonight, but that is my jam. If I'm going to do the smoked salmon, I usually will do asparagus, smoked salmon, and hard-boiled eggs on one sitting.
See, we buy the smoked salmon in the packages, and we'll do it on toast with cream cheese and scrambled eggs, maybe a little ketchup on top. Oh, it sounds like a weird combination, but man, is it so good.
Yeah. And yes, the mask. What happens when you create a character? Yes. So I have a love and hate with this mask. I do love the mask because I love what it represents. And for me, just so you guys know, and I mentioned this a lot on my other podcasts and conversation, the reason I have the mask is one, in Virginia, I started growing way before it was legal, and I wanted to make content, but I didn't also want to just land myself in jail because I just happened to put myself on YouTube with all my beautiful plants. So I created the mask. Then it became a brand last year when we were selling all of our 3D printed products. Then we wanted to switch to education and really connecting with people, building a real community that's full of real people, not just likes on the internet, not just short comments. People actually know who we are and what we represent. And for me, the mask also represents to me is even though the show is about me and it's Madman Plant and I'm the host of SmokeBusters, at the end of the day, you don't see what I look like. So it's not really about me because you're not looking at me. I have no expressions. I have no face. I have no nothing. I just have glasses and eyes. And the mask is black and white because I represent all ethnicities, all genres, all religions, and sexualities, and all of that. And it stands for everything. So there's not just one, right? So for me, the mask also represents a very transparent way where, yes, it's about my platform, but hopefully in a one day, yeah, it will be way bigger than myself. And I have a vision of one day where 1 million people put on a mask in like solidarity for mental health. But that's another story. But I just think what I'm doing and what I'm creating is very unique and it's very real. And obviously, maybe there's not 500 people watching this live right now. But for me, I don't give a shit about the numbers. I don't care. There is nobody watching it, really. I'm trying to do something that internally will change the way I feel internally. So, like in my song, in the song by One Less Reason, which I'm trying to get them on the podcast. I don't think they perform anymore, but I love all their songs, and I've listened to so many like um, different scenarios of like mental health and all that and everything, right? And one of the songs called "Where Did You Go?" It said, "When I was looking for a change in you, I found a change in me that I didn't see." And in a way, I'm trying to change myself by helping change others, and hoping that because like another lyric from them is, "I'd rather change the world than how I feel inside." You know what I mean? And that's something as a person that has their own traumas and is going through things. I'm not perfect either. I have a lot of emotion. I go through a lot of things. I think a lot of things. I get in my head a lot. I get angry. I'm currently dealing with a lot of anger right now, and it definitely has been coming out in a lot of different ways, and I'm not happy about it, but I am realizing it, and just like in the song from Billy Joel, Vienna, slow down, you crazy child. You're so ambitious for a juvenile, and also is, there's not a lot of things. My mentor David, who came on the podcast for the Millionaire Mindset, he was the keynote speaker. He told me too the other day, because we play chess all the time together. Is a lot of times it just takes time, and you can't rush it. And that's another thing too, is learning patience. And I think patience is a lesson of its own, and it's something that I struggle with, and that I am really trying in 10 years, trying to feel like you, Mythic, where I just feel at peace, because inside I still have a lot of turbulence and a lot of rough edges, and I'm using my working tools of a master mason and just in the community and these podcasts to really, fix that, because I think how you feel inside is a beautiful thing. And I honestly envy that. And when my grandmother died, I think I mentioned this podcast. One thing that I did is I had that conversation with her, and her exact words were, God had gave her an amazing life and repaid her in every single way, and that she didn't matter, or it didn't matter whether she woke up or not the next day. She was at complete peace. And when you live in a mindset of that, I think that is the most priceless, most like goal driven thing you can do for yourself. So I'm very happy for you, and I hope that continues for you. And obviously, happiness is not a continuation thing, it's what you make it. It comes and goes, it ebbs and flows, it's not real. It's why they say, happiness is created, so little me just being really extremely stoned and talking a lot like I do. But no, dude, it's all real stuff, and we're all here together, and it's just really, really awesome. So can't thank you enough for being here. But
Wait, thank you for having me.
yeah, dude. All right, so here we go. Woodworks.
Woodworks. Good luck.
Oh shit, dude.
Oh, hell
Another
yeah.
guy, Faviator, for you that don't know, was on our podcast. Who actually, me and Gronomics were just having a session night, which we're actually going to come out with our own segment soon, once a month. It'll be me and Gronomics co-hosting it together. But he came on, and Faviator told the story about driving down the road, and an Astro van followed him. He got a really bad sensation that something was going to happen. Was at a red light, heard his windshield crack. 2 months later, woke up in the hospital and realized he had been shot in the back of the head by a rival gang member, and had to relearn life and everything all over again, and talked about his lifestyle and being in gangs, and how he views life now. And it was awesome, because it was like we didn't even have a guest that night. Me and Gronomics were just gonna just do some stuff together, and then here he comes, and then here comes this wonderful story, and it was amazing. So you can definitely check him out. Well, actually, yes, and this they knew it, yes, and he did know it. And Faviator will tell you in the comments right now that he had a bad feeling. He knew something, that like his spider sense knew something that was going to go down that day. He didn't know what. And like he said, he thought that they blew out the speaker. So when he thought when the windshield cracked, it was actually the subs in the back of his car. He had no idea. And we talked about what it was like to be in a coma. And for him, like when we talked to Melissa, Gronomic's wife, she talked about, for a split period of time in the coma, she can actually see down, she can see the tops of the doctor's heads, and then she went straight back into her body, and then was looking up, and then she came out of the coma. Fabiator had one of the situations where there was no out of body experience. There was just waking up. So he remembers literally just being in the van, the windshield cracking, and that's it. So it's very cool and very powerful, and that's why these podcasts are just amazing and just so great, because where else do you hear this from people in your community that you actually know? And that's the thing, is we can go on, and I love Soft White Underbelly. They talk a lot of great stories to the homeless, past porn stars, mafia people. They've talked to some high profile celebrities and people that gangbangers and stuff like that. And use them as inspiration. But yeah, dude, I mean, where else do you get more real than the people that you actually know? And that's why, whether we think it or not, we are valuable and we do have purpose. And that's why we're here. Just like that Walt Disney World. You need to create that. And it's you, no one else. So with that, that's pretty much all I have for tonight. Now, I do invite you guys to come to Discord, to the Dead by Dawn Genetics, and also my Discord, which I will go ahead and put in the link. Sign up, because we're going to become very, very active in my Discord very soon. And I definitely want you guys to enjoy the fun. The first one is Dead by Dawn Genetics, which is Crimson's, and we're in there all the time with Server Hop. And then also mine, and then the other one is going to be the Bunker, and that's GI Genetics. So now you got all three main people that I support and rep, because they're great friends and they've been with me from day one. But yeah, you guys got anything?
No, thanks again for having me, man. It was good to talk. I thoroughly enjoyed being able to tell my story. I hope it helps people. Honestly, I hope to inspire and help out and relay the message that, hey, you're not alone. And don't give up one more day.
Well, yeah, and not only that, but I have to congratulate you on being the 7th person that has cried on my podcast. This is awesome. I'm on a streak right now, and I just think it's great because, it just shows you that how real this is if we can invoke emotion and we can really get connected on that type of level, or we can open up and feel vulnerable, like we talked about earlier, that's where the change happens, stepping outside that comfort zone and really coming together. So, oh, you were in a coma. Well, you know what? Why don't you sign up on the podcast and let's tell that story too. You can go to my website, go to SmokeBusters. There's a live 60-day rolling calendar. Fill out the form, and anybody that wants to join on, please join on. And I really do wish you and your family the best, especially your business. I will be a heavy promoter and supporter of it. You already know that. And I'm just glad to be your friend. And Grownomics, thank you again for everything that you do, for always being here, being my friend. Like I said, our segment's going to come out once a month where it's just us doing some stuff, and just a lot more to come in the future, guys. So, it's going to be very, very cool.
Yes. It's going to be awesome.
I look forward to it, man.
Well, we will see you guys next time. Peace, yos.